Okay, we should be back. That was new. I got a full-blown crash. So I'm going to wait here until Twitch gives me the live notification. The game just totally crashed. After all the loading was done, I was already back to the main menu, and it just full-blown shut down on me. With, you know, this quality of game, not completely unheard of, but not only did it crash the game, it totally shut down my broadcast. So that's new. So yeah, I think that first part of the stream, I think it was like 20 minutes. That probably won't make it to YouTube. We'll see how long this one goes. See if the game just decides to crash on us. That is one downside to streaming from console, is when you have technical difficulties, you have technical difficulties. You know, that's why a lot of people run 2 PC streams, so that when one thing breaks, you have a redundancy. Okay. I have the live notification, so just got to fill everything out and update it. Okay, so should have another live notification, just went out. Yeah, that kind of sucks. I really hate disjoining the stream like that. Mostly just because that ends up becoming a problem with export later, but I'm going to clean the headset real quick. Hopefully that didn't sound horrendous in the audio. But, what also really sucks about having crashes like that is that, really kills viewership. Okay, here's the first time we've set up for a road course. So this time, instead of laying the tires all the way over to the left and totally wrecking them on an oval course, I'm going to point the tires in at the top, so they're kind of making a triangle with the road. I'm also a complete idiot when I do this, and I set the degrees way too far. Now, I'm not going full 8 degrees, because you don't need that much to upset the car. I point these tires in enough, it'll actually high side the car. Get rid of the rear sway bar. It's way faster to just slide through corners than push tight. Rear sway bars, I think, are not necessary for anything in this game, ever. But that's because I have no idea what I'm doing. So now I have to test and make sure this camber isn't too much, that it'll just try and 3-wheel the truck. also kind of have to crash course this track because Canadian Tire is not exactly a road course that you see all that often. Yep. See, we high-sided the tires. So let's try that again. When you're that early into the warm-up lap, you might as well just reset and try and get the beats down. But I might end up pulling the camber a little bit just so I don't have problems like that. Last I remember, I actually had to kind of feather throttle in some corners. I had to be kind of careful getting back to the power, because if you really stomp on it, okay, the truck is super loose. So I'm going to try and make it around once. Nope, not going to happen. Okay, so the truck feels super loose. So I'm going to drop the camber. Let's go far. Let's go like a full degree. Because I'd rather fight a little more of a tight condition. Plus the camber really only affects how quickly we can corner. Just, you know, putting input into the steering wheel and how quickly the truck is going to react after I put that input in. The sway bars are really what handle most of the loading. This feels a lot better so far. See, I started to high side the truck. When you do that, it puts a lot of load on places in the truck that are not expecting to just carry the entire load of the truck. So when you put the entire load of the truck on one corner or one part of the truck, it's going to get upset. Another part of this is that I have to pay attention to braking points and kind of where I need to be speed-wise. Usually, so it looks like I need to be careful with having throttle in the middle of these corners. It looks like really in the middle of the corner is where things go poor. Anyways, my kind of general rule for road courses is that I find the braking point and then I just kind of let the car downshift one. Yep. Okay, so don't have steering input and don't go to the throttle because the car is trying to high side. So I think that means I can actually pull more camber out of it. So I might end up using less camber than what was initially set up. But anyway, my kind of base rule for road course in this game is to find the braking point, hit it, and then just let the car downshift one, and then kind of find your speed as you get to the corner. If you need more than one downshift for a corner, then it's usually not that many of them, not that many corners that need more than one downshift. So it's usually pretty easy to just remember, you know, hit one downshift and then kind of figure it out from there. Should have it down this lap, because last lap I was kind of still trying to find the limits of where the looseness of the truck was. I think I'm still going to kick that camber down probably a half degree on each side. Because, yeah, see how bad it tried to high side there? Still have no idea what the breaking point for that corner is. So yeah, hopefully that kind of helps the high side condition. I'm worried that if I push it down underneath the recommended setup, because usually the recommended setup is super tight, but I did kind of get rid of, you know, a whole ½ inch of rear sway bar, so completely took the rear sway bar out of the equation. So that's probably why I have the high side condition. Plus it pushes it, because I could probably handle the high side condition if it didn't push the truck so loose. So I'm going to drop these another ½ degree and see what happens. Luckily, this is also a road course, so if I qualify poorly, which I usually do at road courses, see, I'm like a second off of the pace. But that'll still probably get me a top 5 in qualifying. Just doing a quick check on the dashboard. Okay. We're good. Okay. Part of me kind of wants to keep that little ramble of, you know, why I'm streaming on my channel, because it's kind of, you know, the whole reason I'm here. But I'm sure it'll come up again multiple times, because I'm sure I've probably repeated myself 90 bajillion times. Alright, already off of no man's land. Good start. So now my braking point for this corner is totally screwed up. And I'm down a gear. It looks like it's going to be a lot harder to really high side the truck and get it to get upset. I think I'm going to start. Okay. So that was... The other problem about doing this in automatic is that if you really jump on the brakes like that, the car doesn't want to downshift. Which, you know, simple remedy is we'll just, you know, change some of the driving assist and turn it into manual. But you know me, I'm lazy. So I'd rather just suffer. Alright. Now the lap matters.
1 lap to go. Concentrate. Give us all you got.
That's a corner that I shouldn't be downshifting in, so I kind of just try to keep the revs up. Just a minute. Technically shouldn't be running that far outside in that corner, but yeah, see, I ran through an extra downshift through that corner, and it really tried to high side the truck, but it didn't do it. And it tried to high side again a couple of times, so it won't. So the adjustment that I made from practice is actually working. So we have a lot more stable setup, but that means a lot of the driving has come back onto my shoulders. Because when I was driving the loose race car, it's really fast. But since it's loose, you can kind of just throw it into the corner, and it'll kind of just glide through it. But when you tighten the race car up to where it's a little more controllable, then it's kind of on you to make sure that it's in the right position. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot of time. Okay, we got third. So we get inside priority. If we don't get pole, we want third, especially on the road course. But we are a second off of the front runner. Seems a little bit much. Being a second off of the pace seems
You're coming to
a
the
bit
green.
odd. This is not inside priority,
ready
but
now.
okay.
Green, green, green. Right side.
Also trying not to send anybody off into these first corners,
Careful. Still there.
even though I'm pretty sure both of these guys
Still there.
are still cool with me.
Right side clear.
That little bit of contact shouldn't upset anybody. Now it's just a matter of staying out here. Which, we have 3 laps. That's actually a lot. So, I'm interested to see how tire wear is going to go. It didn't feel like it affected me a lot in practice. I think I ran around 3 laps. Okay, that amount of contact might upset me. And I didn't feel a lot of tire fall off from what I ran in practice, so I adjust the headset. It's always the road courses. Road courses really
Left side. Left side clear.
toss the headset for you. I have a feeling I'm going to be very slow through this section
Right side.
compared to my opponents, which is scary, because that's the final section.
All right, now. I need 2 more good laps from you.
But since I'm out front, really all I need to do is not make large mistakes like this one,
Left side.
because that opens the door for the pass.
Left side. You got room. You're clear there.
Just don't make mistakes big enough to open the door for a pass. If I do make a mistake, I can't let him really run away with it. Because that's the other thing about racing the road course, is that you can kind of get away with a lot of leaning on people compared to circle track racing. I can kind of run it off into the corner and still get around him.
Stay right, please.
Granted, that'll probably affect the driver relationship thing, but wow, no idea how I'm still going straight after the amount of
Left side. You got
fishtail
room.
that I did through that whole section.
All right, let's go.
I just had no feedback in the steering wheel, so I was just visually trying to plant the steering wheel where I thought the truck was going to need to go.
Left side. Left side's clear.
I really try to brake check him going into this section, because I know it's not going to be a good time for me. So I really just make sure that he's planted on my back bumper so he can't really adjust where he's going. Which is probably about the meanest thing you can do from out in front, is brake check somebody and slow them all the way down going into a corner late. That way they don't really have a lot of room to go around you. They're kind of just planted on your back bumper and they can't see anything. Oh, I think we did it.
Fantastic job there.
Awesome.
Great win.
Road courses are the worst. I don't think the 2 truck is going to be too crazy about us after this, but we took the win on a unique track, so that's the part that really matters. because there's trophies for winning on each different track. So, and I think the Truck Series is the only one that runs Canadian Tire. So we had to pick up that win there, then and there. Otherwise, we would have had to go back and pick it up somewhere later on. That should be the only road course for the rest of this season, at least. Well, in the Truck Series, I should have specified that. So we have a road course, which is done. A long track. And then a short track. And then another long track. We really have an abundance of employees, but that was for the trophies. Gotta get that trophy level up. I didn't have a PlayStation when they introduced the trophy system, so because I'm an achievement kid. I say that in my achievement. My gamer score isn't anything super amazing. See, after that first crash, now I have it in the back of my mind that this game can, like, hard crash on the console and just shut everything down. So hopefully that isn't a time bomb. It just goes off every 23 minutes. I guess we'll find out here pretty soon. After I rage at this dirt road course and I pound my desk or something stupid. Even after I've run this track probably, 4 times? I'm still kind of mad with it. Almost every. Because even if you run the perfect line, you're not going to be in the exact same situation every time going into the corner. You're not going to be at the same angle, or you're not going to be at the same speed, or you're not going to be at the same stability. That's probably the slowest I've run those first 2 corners, but speed isn't super important in practice. Kind of getting my feet wet on the dirt car, going both right and left right now. So I'm pretty sure the practice target's pretty easy to hit. Really just kind of cruising because I don't want to start raging in practice, otherwise it's going to be a long race weekend. Yeah, I see. Blitz the target time by about a second. I think I'm actually going to set the car up a little more loose, which is probably going to be my demise. But, wow, 1:11 for the pole time.
All right,
This game and its balancing, undefeated. For sure. guarantee you when the race hits, nobody's going to run better than a 114. The whole time is a 111. Yep. Saw that coming. Do the 360. Swag. Really good thing that it's just the outlap, otherwise the raid would have hit early. An unexpected side note of loosening the car up, it's really jumping off the splitter. So the rotation is great, but the rotation is so good and fast, that's not going to hurt my straightaway speed at all. That it's really just grinding off of the splitter, so I don't get any rotation. Because I'm just grinding the splitter away. Yeah, at least I improved those first 2 corners. The exit of the second part, not great. Kind of just really trying to clean up what I'm doing. Because that's really the only parts that are upsetting me is when I make a mental mistake and I end up clipping a wall or doing something dumb. And then it kind of sends me. Yeah, it looks like since I loosened the car up, it's hitting the splitter in that corner a lot worse than it was, so I can't really run that corner flat out. I can still run this weird little chicane flat out. Much better. I need to really dive at that inside guardrail when I go into that corner. 111.2. That wasn't even that great of a lap. But the stopwatch says otherwise. Fantastic. Never qualified on pole here. That'll make this race much nicer.
Coming to the green. Be ready here. The green flag is in the air.
Now I won't have to fight traffic all the way through this straightaway heading into this weird chicane. Not chicanes. Squared off hairpin corner.
Right side.
Yep, that's fine.
Right side clear. Right side. All clear. Right side.
I really wanted to protect my inside to avoid that, because they could really upset your car from getting on your inside corners. Hopefully whoever's in the pink car realizes that that wasn't my fault. Starts to hate me. Because for anybody new to this series, drivers can alter their relationship with you based on how you race with them. So if, I purposely take anybody out, they're not going to be happy with me. They're not going to drive nicely with me anymore on the racetrack. So hopefully whoever was in that pink car in that accident realizes that contact was initiated elsewhere, but I doubt that's how this game works. Because I'm pretty sure even if you're involved in a crash after the finish line, they still get upset with you. I guess we'll find out when we get back to the next dirt weekend. We'll check. Well, we can still check the driver relationships in the truck series too. So, which I think they balanced that driver relationship a little more. It was super easy to just be buddy with everybody. And if you screwed up like that, they made it really easy to apologize and kind of nullify it. But I think this time around they kind of nerfed the heck out of that. All right, we're racing at Bristol. Okay, so I've made my amends in the truck series. Still got a lot of work to do in the Xfinity series. Looks like we're okay in the dirt series. The guy who's upset with me has been upset with me since I got there, so not a whole lot's changed there. All right. Bristol is my bread and butter. Should cruise through this weekend. As long as I set the truck up right, because I don't think I have it set up for Bristol yet. But Bristol's pretty easy to wrangle in. You could usually, a Bristol setup is not something you have to hit right on the nose, kind of like on the road courses. You kind of have to set that up like right on the dot, and then it'll be easy to drive, and even then it's still not super easy because it's a road course. But with Bristol, you kind of have a good little leeway of where you can set the car up and it'll work, because the banking does a lot of the driving here. As long as you can get the rhythm down of Bristol, the banking should do most of the work for you. Lots of throttle work. Just getting the rhythm down. So we'll start with that sway bar. See how it does. It's 8 laps. So I'm not sure how much tire wear is going to be part of that. I can't imagine it'll be a lot because that's kind of a shorter race. The sway bar setup and tire wear really comes into practice when you're running off of the corner, because this is where the banking unloads and all of the lateral load goes into the tires. You get a lot of lateral load straight across the track, straight through your tires towards the outside wall, because you're rolling down off of that big banking that's really planting the car into the concrete. So when all that lateral load kind of hits the truck, it's going to want to upset it by a lot. So if your tires are wore out, or you have it set up a little bit on the looser side, it's going to want to snap loose right about there. Kind of want to work traffic and see how we do that.
All right, you're clear there.
Looks like in the trucks you can really drive it down into the corner. Before you need to use any brakes or jump out of the throttle. And really, you can jump back into the throttle fairly quickly. And it looks like if you just get the rhythm just right, you can really just plant your foot and roll it out of the corner, which is what you want to do.
Careful, still there. You got room, you're clear there.
You can really hurt yourself if you get into the throttle too early in the middle of the corner, because then the car will start pushing towards the outside wall, and it's definitely going to scare you. Because hitting the wall going to the straightaway is the biggest penalty you can get, speed-wise. But if you roll into the throttle too quick and you start pushing towards that outside wall, you just kind of feather the throttle a little bit and you'll avoid the wall and go down the straightaway. But you're also going to take a speed hit there. Everybody's going to kind of drive by you. Luckily, the straightaways are pretty short here at Bristol. So once you get about 3/4 of the way through the straightaway, everybody's speed kind of evens out. So even if you have a bad run off of the corner, you can kind of make up for it by right about here. In case you haven't already been able to figure out, I love Bristol. I've ran over the amount of laps that are in the actual race. We're just now at 2/3 tires, so yeah, that was absolutely not necessary, but we ran under. Looks like a 16-second lap is really setting the board on fire, so hopefully we can pull that off. I really don't want to dump it more. I'll get faster if I pull more sway bar out of it, but I really don't want to affect how the truck's driving right now. If it tightens up here in this qualifying session, then I'll pull another notch out of the sway bar. But I really liked how it was driving in the corners in practice. So yeah, it still feels good so far. Technically, there's 2 different lanes you can run. There's technically 3 lanes, as you'll see if I can chase down lap traffic during the race. But the 2 main lines that you run for good speed are, like I did in qualifying, hug the bottom, which is the quote-unquote old way of Bristol, which is more just like the kind of modern way.
Be ready here.
The true old way, and then the newest way to run Bristol is around that top side, right around the wall. Carry a bunch of speed around that wall and really move down this straightaway. But I feel most comfortable running this bottom line. It just feels a lot more technical to run that bottom side. And even if I need to jump back out to that outer line, it's not too hard to do so without losing time. For me, it's, 6 one way, half a dozen the other. Either line that I pick. And usually running this low line ends up becoming the middle line because I'll get too antsy with the throttle and really jump back in it. And really the banking saves me when I do that because I'll roll back into the throttle too quickly and really all it'll do is push me out by maybe a half car, full car width. And I'll still make it around the corner with decent speed. I'm just up the track a little bit. See, I've kind of just morphed this into the midline now. But the truck did tighten up on me, so looks like taking just a little bit extra out of the sway bar was probably the better move. But that's okay. I think I'm nitpicking over like a 10th. Yeah, it looks like 2 tenths. Looks like I lose about 2 tenths with this tighter condition. But we still put a good cushion on the rest of the field. So really I could give up maybe a second. It'd still be okay. There's no reason to go lapping by these guys.
Good driver. Way to earn that checker flag.
Risk that's just not worth it. Solid speed rating. Could have been a little better if I hit the setup right, but I think with everything maxed out in the Dirt Series and having those momentum boosts in the Truck Series, we should be able to sweep all the way through. And then it's going to be back to real nitty-gritty fighting next season. depending on the contract that we get for the Xfinity cars and how much we can invest into the truck series when we own a team next year. Which I think I should be able to invest a good amount. There's a hot seat race this late in the season. Okay. And that's going to be a pretty high profile race. So what do we got? A long track, which is at 100. Got another short track. And then a long track. Half of what I'm doing isn't even necessary. It's just making sure all the categories are filled. I've always wondered with these in-game ads, because I get a lot of Fanatec in both this game and the F1 game. And I don't know if the game can read if you have a racing wheel, or if Fanatec just decided to go all in on the ad budget and just throw ads in every racing game on the planet. Because I haven't played any of these games without a racing wheel, so I know there isn't a crazy amount of Fanatec ads in Gran Turismo, because I'm pretty sure whatever Fanatec model's out now wasn't out when Gran Turismo first launched.
Hammer down.
Give me a second. I gotta... Who says real drifty today? Pretty sure that's another staple of my streams. I think if somebody put up a counter on it, the two highest counters would be the amount of times that I talk about the headset drift and the amount of times I say the word braking. Even in this game, this qualifying lap is going to be dog trash. 11. Well, that's what I get for just kind of phoning it in. Still think I can fight my way to the front, but I might piss off a lot of people getting there. So we'll see how it goes.
Almost ready. Green's out now. Let's go. Car on the outside now. All right, you're clear. Hold your line, got one outside.
Man, Tony is just magnetized to that bottom line. His left front tire was glued to that white line.
One flag, next time by.
I think that's the one thing that's killing me jumping between the series is trying to round off the corners and hit a nice, pretty apex in the National Series. But here, you really got to go in outside, try and slash the corner off. And I keep trying to round them off like I'm in the National Series. I have to keep reminding myself that I need to cut those corners. That's the quickest way to get through them. But we got through. I don't think I had to piss anybody off, really. Just leaned on a few friends. Hopefully driving around other drivers can improve my relationship with whatever person was pissed off at me. Because I'm pretty sure your relationship with a driver doesn't change unless you drive within the vicinity of them. So if they're a driver that typically runs towards the back and you just run up front a lot, then your only chance of repairing your relationship is if you, lap everyone. Oh, cool. Looks like I racked up 49 wins so far. Which, if so, that's a pretty quick 50. That's a quarter of the way to the 200 win mark. Which I feel like gets exponentially harder. Because grinding for... Oh, we're going to Vegas. The chewer of tires. Grinding for 200 wins in these games takes a while. Because I've done it for a good amount of these titles. As long as they've had the achievement or trophy to beat 200 wins, then I've done it. Fucking humble brag. I already have a setup? Cool. Hopefully it wasn't a setup where I was like, well, I'll figure it out next time I race that I need to set up more loose. I know there's a couple tracks where I had that. I just did that at Bristol. I was like, well, I'll just set it up a little bit more loose next time. And then I'm going to get back to Bristol and just run the same setup and think it's okay. Like I'm probably doing now. Vegas isn't too punishing on your setup. You'll know if you screwed it up or not. You don't really have to get perfect on the setup. If your truck doesn't drive a lot, then you're going to lose most of your time through turns 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is a little more forgiving, but tire wear is the name of the game here. Which I am very not good at, is managing tire wear. Normally my version of managing tire wear is to lean on the car as hard as possible and get a gap between me and the next car and then slow down and hope that the tires hold out. That's usually where my strategy goes. I wasn't paying attention to my corner speed in practice. So this should be interesting.
Qualify. Make it count.
Looks like my target should be around 165 corner speed. .160 is probably safer. It's not faster, but it's safer.
All right, that's our run.
Puts me in a better position. 3rd place. once again, balancing is great. I may shit on this series a lot, but
Coming to the green, driver. Are you ready?
Somebody got moved to the back, but I am now in position number 2. But I talk a lot of crap on these games, but the thing that talks loudest is the wallet, and I've bought all of them, so not a whole lot I can complain about when I'm throwing $60 at every one of them. So which that seems to be the hot button topic of the day. Which it kind of sucks that I just I just thought about this in the middle of a race. So it's gonna be the weirdest race commentary ever. But the Nintendo Direct that happened today apparently lit the internet on fire because it was a very obvious fiscal year ploy to sell Switches and cartridges, basically dump the market, just get rid of everything that is possibly on a store shelf as quickly as possible, because they announced a bunch of very sought-after, popular titles that people have been asking for a long, long time, especially with the 3D All-Stars game. I saw the announcement for 3D All-Stars, and I vocally yelled. Like, I did the little fanboy thing. But that's not the point. The weird thing is, they've made an artificial huge demand because they made it that you can only get that game, I think, physically and digitally. I don't know what the physical release is going to be, because screw the physical release of anything Nintendo. I usually wait for like a year and a half before I get the physical release of something Nintendo. I'm still waiting on the Super Nintendo Switch controllers to go back in stock, and those have been on the market for like a year and a half. I think I waited a full year before I got the NES controllers for Switch, because I just wait until nobody cares about them anymore, and then I go buy them. I mean, heck, I had to wait several months before I could get my Switch, because the demand was so ridiculous. Glad you're here, Shane.
That's the win. Nice job.
Hopefully you're here to stay and not, you know, run in and give me 3 comments and then run away again. But yeah, they made the demand super crazy. They made it so that you can't get that game ever again if you don't get it by March 31st of next year. And that lit people on fire. I assume most of the people who either, you know, really give a shit, or the people who plan on getting the physical release, which I really wanted to get the physical release of 3D World and the 3D All-Stars. I planned on getting the physical release of those because I really wanted, you know, my hands on it, but since they made that demand so crazy, I got to get top 3 at Vegas. Yippee. The demand for those physical releases are going to be insane, so I just jumped on the digital release. I'm going to be streaming for probably, I mean, at least another hour. Yeah, I'd probably say about another hour. But yeah, once I saw they were going to cut that release off on March 31st, I just went ahead and went for the digital version because I knew there was no way I was going to be able to get onto the physical release. That's going to be sold out everywhere, and the resellers are going to be totally insane. Be back by 8. I might not be. It might be like 15 minutes left, but you do you. Don't worry about me. I just got to know, because I can't have you coming in here and jumping in and claiming chat for yourself and then, you know, only being in chat for 10 minutes. Get off at 6. Normal people get off at 5. I hope you know that I'm just fucking with you. You have no obligation.
Alright now, dig.
Anything but normal. I mean, that's your whole MO. But yeah, circling around to all of the Mario 35th anniversary stuff. I mean, it's very obviously a super limited time event, and they want to make it all collector stuff and make it super special, because that's what Nintendo does. That's how they do it. And even though I don't really agree with them making those games such a limited run, I can't really complain. I'm not going to complain about it, because as soon as they announced it, I pre-ordered it. I threw my money at them immediately. So there's no way that you can complain when you throw your money at something like that. Especially when it's a pre-order. Okay. That's very noble of you, Shane. I appreciate the gesture. When are my tires going down? About 3/4. I don't know what lap this is, but I still haven't hit practice target. And I'm still not pushing to loose, so I think I'm gonna pull another bit out of the sway bar. I'm not even running down the car ahead of me, so that's super not good. So we're 50%. We lost about a second after 4 laps. Great. And that's a little thing I like to call scary. Ooh, that's a big jump on the sway bar.
Time to go now.
And also, you can bet that I am going to be on the Puma website at 9 o'clock tomorrow to get those shoes. I don't care if it bankrupts me. I will absolutely be buying those shoes. And I will be absolutely scared to wear them if I get them. I'm really scared to be jumping into that market because the sneakerhead market is cutthroat. And I'm really scared that I'm going to get on there at 9 a.m. and they're going to be sold out. And the only way to get, and I'm worried that they're not going to restock them either because they're a special edition shoe. And from what I know, once they're sold, they're sold. They don't do another run, especially on shoes. So then it's off to the resellers, and resellers are going to mark that up big time.
All right, time's up. Let's do a replay.
12. But regardless of the internet shitstorm that the Nintendo Direct stirred up, I am very, very excited for all the things that they're doing, and I'm excited to see where it goes next year. Because I don't think they announced anything past February or March. So I assume once they, I assume they're kind of throwing a huge towel in right now before they get the upgraded Switch out, the Switch Pro or whatever it's going to be. They're going to throw the Switch Pro at everybody right after the fiscal year is over. You know, March 31st is going to hit, and then they're going to be like, all right, Switch Pro, April 1st. Come get it. And in the same, however they decide to make that announcement, whether it's a Nintendo Direct or whatever, in the same announcement, they're going to roll out a bunch more, you know, 35th anniversary stuff. So I'm excited to see what that's going to look like.
Careful, still there.
Especially with the Tokyo Olympics getting pushed to next year. That lines up really neatly. So we'll see what happens. So this will get interesting because Noah Gregson does not like me. And my car is not fast. So I really don't want to send it off into the corner and try and eight-wheel him.
5 laps to go.
But it looks like I'm going to. And it was all for naught, so good on me.
Still there?
He still absolutely has a better car. Even if I get around him, I'm not sure that I'm going to have enough car to hold him off. Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm not sure I can afford that. I can't have him being upset with me.
Coming to the green, driver.
Plus, I feel like I really ran out the window for being able to go around him nicely. I let him get too far out. It ended up being a battle that I cannot win.
Stay on the bottom. Car high, careful. You got room, you're clear.
Get out of the way. And Josh Dewicky knew I was coming.
Still there. Outside, outside. Got one up top.
Man, my car just has no turn. Push is really bad.
Clear high, clear high.
And by trying to get the car to fucking corner, I lose a lot of straightaway speed because I'm still fighting the wheel all the way around the corner. Kind of like Brandon Jones just did.
Got a car high now.
Kind of hoping that Noah Gragson is the better car, because if he fights with Brandon Jones, and Brandon Jones has the worst car, then that'll hold Noah Gragson back. But it looks like he's working his way around Jones now. The most important thing is that I have the lead. Wow, that corner was silky. That was professional.
5 to go, driver.
Why can't I just drive every corner like that? I really got to concentrate on getting better runs out of the corner, because that's where I lose a lot of speed. And I'm throwing caution to the wind. I want to put a gap on these guys so that when my tires start really getting bad and the car starts driving poorly, I have a little bit of a gap before they're, all over me, because they're still side by side. And I can block one car, but I can't block two. Right now, when tires get to about 2/3, that's the next little step of bad. The first step of noticeable tire wear is right around 85%. You'll notice the car starts driving a little different. 66% is when your car is going to get to full pour. That is, from here on out, the car is going to drive this bad. So the car is not going to get any better, not going to get a whole lot worse. So this is the situation that I'm in, but it looks like I'm still holding the gap.
I need 2 more, so left, man. Keep it going.
See, this is what I mean by the balancing in this game. I was driving like this in the last race, and I was barely hanging on. There was no way I was going to win the race. Now I'm out front, and I'm holding a gap. But it's probably just because the game still reads Noah Gragson in a battle with Brandon Jones. So it slowed both of them down, since they were technically both not running the line that they wanted, but they sorted it out just on that last lap, and it's the last lap, so I should be able to take it home. That corner felt very good once again. Another good corner. We finished with a little under 50%.
Nice job. Checker flag's yours.
96 speed rating. Yeah, so I should have been fighting. It should have been a fight for the win. Hopefully, since I drove Gragson nicely that time, I still ran past this lap. I should have got the win. So, hopefully, that improves my relationship with Noah Gragson, because that is not a driver to be pissed off at you, being a newbie in the Xfinity Series. Especially if I rack up that 5-star contract. That was a nice little pay boost before next season. Man, we might not get past the start of next season. I mean, I'm definitely going to do, the start. So what do we got? Short track and then long track? I'm kind of just throwing people around. I have more employees than I know what to do with. But the Dirt Series is the cheapest. Technically, I should have like half the employees and half the cars that I have now for the Dirt Series if I was being fiscally responsible. But the Dirt Series is the cheapest place to get the trophies for maxing out your team and everything, so. Once again, checking the dashboard. Just making sure that we're all good. That really sucks that I kind of lost the first 20 minutes of the stream from that crash. I think I'll still be able to salvage it. I'm not going to be able to stitch them together, but I think this second stream, this second VOD that it's going to spit out, I think I'll probably leave both VODs up, depending on how the end of the crash one looks. If the end of the crash one is bad, then I'll probably take it down. But it, 25 minutes isn't too bad to leave it up. Now, if it was like 15 minutes or less, then there's no reason to have that up. It's like right on the borderline of something that I would keep, especially since I went on that whole rant, about why I want to stream and what the purpose of my streams are. So I kind of want to keep that there for posterity, I guess.
Time to go.
Otherwise, if it was just a whole lot of nothing, and it was just like the first 2 or 3 races of this stream, then it wasn't anything too crazy eventful.
One lap to go. Concentrate. Give us all you got.
Man, now that I remembered the internet storm that the Nintendo Direct stirred up.
All right, we're going to see where that puts us on the starting grid.
And Nintendo Directs really turned the internet into just a total cesspit. And I don't know why.
We're going green. Are you ready here?
You would think it's the worst place to be for, video game announcements would be console announcements because of the stupid console wars. You'd think all the console war people would just, make the chat stink. Just like make the internet be a not fun place to be for a couple days. You would think they would do that with the console announcements, like Xbox and PlayStation, but it's always Nintendo. Like Nintendo had the third-party Direct not too long ago, and people lost their minds because they didn't announce, 9 new Pokemon DLCs for free. Because they specifically called it a third-party Direct. They thought they were getting, 3 new Smash characters and 9 Pokemon games for free. And everybody lost their mind because that didn't happen.
Go get the checker flag. It's yours.
And you would think with such a family-friendly and, cute little company like Nintendo that shit wouldn't happen. And it's always one of those things, you really like to be a part of a community. Like, I love Mario games and I love the Nintendo brand and everything. And it's just like an innocent childhood, I love this stuff type of thing. It's like these products make me feel 12 and it makes me happy. That type of situation. But then you get on the internet and it's just like all of these, the Smash community getting, totally ran through because, they have so many sexual harassment claims on people and just how nasty some of the Smash community can be, how nasty some of the Pokemon community can be. It's a game for 8-year-olds. And there's, 30-year-olds getting super upset about how dumb the balancing is. It's just... It's upsetting. It's one of those things where you want to be a part of the community, but when you tell somebody you're a part of the community, they're like, oh, so do you get pissed off at every direct? Ooh, Talladega. This will be exciting. I'm going to be super slow. It's like, it's like being a fan of anime. You tell somebody that you really like anime, and they're like, oh, so you mean the cartoon porn? No, I don't mean that. I mean like Pokemon. Pokemon's an anime. They're like, oh, so you're part of the people who like to hump pillows. No. Because that's all anybody sees when they, they know about a community. Probably the best example, not the best example, there's no best example. Probably the most known example is people in music. If somebody says they're a Cardi B fan, everybody automatically thinks, oh, so you think the things that she did to men was okay and this and that, and you're just going to defend her to the death? And it's just like, no, the music sounds good.
Hammer down.
And Nintendo is definitely one of those communities. Anime is another one of those communities. It's just like the only experience people have with those communities are the very nasty, very loud vocal feuds. It's kind of like video games as a whole. A lot of people think that, if you're a big fan of video games, then, well, nowadays, it used to be, like when I was in the age of getting poked at, like, elementary, middle school, if you really liked video games, then you were just a nerd. You were just locked in your room and you didn't have any social skills because you were a nerd. And when I got to high school, it's like, oh, you like video games or you like anime, you must be an incel. Well, now it's become, if you're into video games, then all you do is play Warzone with the boys. Or if you're, under the age of 14 and you play Fortnite with the boys. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm really glad that the gaming industry as a whole has grown and become such a more mainstream thing that, it's not, you have to be a dude to like video games, I'm really glad that the industry has gotten to that point. But the fact that the community still has a bad rap is still upsetting. But what I do enjoy is that I finally get to kind of plant myself in this gaming community where, I don't like a lot of the newer stuff, I'm not big on multiplayer. There's games where I love the multiplayer. Call of Duty 4, a lot of the Halo multiplayers. Like I spent a lot of time in those multiplayer lobbies, and I really loved them. And that was pretty good. Mostly because, I didn't have a job, so I could just do that all day, every day. but you know, I'm one of those people who it's just like, I'd rather play single player. That's why a lot of these racing games, I don't go into multiplayer. I just play single player because I like it. Just a nice little hobby to have. You know, I think that's kind of where the new generation is kind of getting set apart. You know, the new generation is going to be used to, you know, microtransactions and the loot boxes and, you know, these massive multiplayer games. The battle royales and whatnot. Not the MMOs and the World of Warcrafts. Which I like to think kind of sets a new gaming generation. Because, you know, you have the gaming generation that came before me, which was all the retro consoles. And, you know, when they talk about video games, they talk about the NES, and the newest thing they probably ever played was SNES. Because then it was getting, you know, too modern. Or, you know, they became an adult and got a job. So they will always have this nice little sweet spot for retro games. And they will always just play those retro games. And that's kind of the generation before me. And then, like, my generation who grew up in the 3D era, you know, the Nintendo SNES was like the first thing I remember rolling out and playing. And then 64 came around, and 64 was something that I basically grew up on. And then PlayStation 2 was like the cream of the crop. That was like the first new console that I got. And that thing was crazy. But a lot of those things were single player. You know, online was just barely worked with PlayStation 2. And that was if you had a crazy setup. You know, I was just some kid. There's no way I was going to be able to get my PlayStation 2 to hook up to internet and play with other people. I mean, there were full-blown tutorials inside the games that I bought to try and teach you how to set it up for online. And I always thought, you know, that'd be nice, but there's no way I could get that to work. So I think now there's this new little generational gap of people who are used to playing single player. You know, this little gap in between retro and these massive multiplayers. You know, my generation, the craziest multiplayer that there was, the earliest multiplayer that there was RuneScape. And I think that's probably after... Ooh, clean. That's okay. It's not last. But like RuneScape and World of Warcraft were the biggest multiplayers before it hit really big in the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era. So I feel like that's kind of the gap, and then now there's mostly multiplayer games. And I think that's the new generation that's going to go forward. And I think it's much more... The exciting part about that little generational gap is that gaming is much more widespread. You know, it's in... This is almost a gaming renaissance like it was back in '85 when Mario hit. When home consoles hit instead of arcades. Ooh, this is bad. I was not in the draft. I'm getting left. That's a pretty big setback, but let's hope this big slingshot doesn't get make it. It's not, because he took the line that I was going to. Killed all my momentum. We're going to try that again. That because I'm not paying attention. Too busy rambling about shit that nobody cares about. But damn it, if I'm gonna have a style and I'm gonna have an MO, that's gonna be that's gonna be it. You show up to my streams and listen to shit you never cared about. Listen to a college lecture about racing.
You're clear all around, man.
Racing philosophy. And the gaming industry. I'm still out of the crowd. This might be bad.
Got one up top.
Okay, that's safe.
You got room. You're clear. Say hi, say hi. Car there on the inside. Car outside.
Yeah, Brett Moffitt really killed me there.
Hold your line, got one inside.
Let's run this out. Technically, I would have reset there because this is a really big stall out. This is not good.
Hold your line, driver. You're all clear on top there.
But I kind of want to see what this morphs into. Really, all the info that I got is that the middle line is the worst place to be. The inside is where I want to be at all times. You know, if I end up getting a speed kill, like right there. Because bump drafting is not a good way to gain speed. Just kidding.
Down the bottom. White flag, take a time back. Stay low, stay low.
We got 2 laps. I think that if I can jump up to right behind... Nope.
Still there?
Dean really killed me there. We'll run it out, see what happens.
Still there. Still there? Car outside, hold the line. You got room, you're clear. Careful, still there.
Alright, we're looking good.
You're all clear up top. One more to go.
Oh, we are falling out of the draft. Oh, I thought the 99 was going to pick us up. This is not good.
You're all
This is
clear.
very not good. We need the 40 to pick us up. We need somebody to pick us up. Somebody pick me up from behind, please. Nobody wants to pick me
Stay
up.
high up here.
I'm going to have to cut his nose off. There we go. I cut his nose off. We're good. I should not have been able to motor around those cars. They have way more power than me. This is the balancing problem. I'm driving away from the field right now. I qualified 30th. I should not have the power to motor on this on the field right now.
Great job, driver. Checker flag is in the air. It's yours.
I can't complain. I can't complain because I keep picking up wins, but the balancing is just not great. Just wish qualifying was a little more indicative of the race. I understand they're trying to do it, you know, realistically, where everybody rips off a hot lap in qualifying, but my goodness, the disparity's huge. Trying to get myself in the habit of checking the board. Oh, we got a trophy for something. Oh, we must have won at all the super speedways because there's, you know, 2. Cool. I haven't missed any follow notifications yet. Yeah, sure, right at the line. I'd like to check my new driver relationship by the time we get to the next series. This should be the, yep, this is the finals for the dirt. 76 is still not okay with us, but who cares? We're going to be out of that series. We're back to neutral in the truck series, which we were before, and we gained no favors from Vegas in the Busch series, so cool. I gotta clean the headset again. I keep pulling it up over my head to check the Twitch dashboard. My greasy ass forehead gets on the lenses. Okay. All right. I didn't see how many races were left in the truck series. I'm going to guess there's probably 2 or 3. I feel like since not a whole lot happened in that first little stint before the crash, I think I'm still going to shoot for 2 hours. I mean, I always put 3 on the schedule just so that if anybody plans on being here, then, you know, it's better to... I always think it's better to tell someone, you know, something's going to take 3 hours, and then if it ends up taking 2.5, then cool. Bonus. But if you tell them that something's going to take 2 hours and it ends up taking 3, that's a lot more upsetting than the other way around. So, you know, if I get a wild hair in my ass and I decide to go 3 hours, awesome. Then that's right on schedule. But, you know, if I feel like I need to cut it down to 2, then cut it down to 2.
Time to go.
And I promise I'm not, you know, I promise I'm just memeing when it comes to talking about shit that nobody cares about. And that's going to be my whole shtick. It's just we're at a point where I've explained a lot of the philosophy behind this racing stuff, and if anything comes up, I mention it, but just kind of podcasting at this point. I mean, that's all any streamer really does, is it's really just a podcast with gaming on it. You know, something to look at, something to do. It's interactive podcast, that's really all it is.
Got a car high now. Get all clear up top there.
Plus, it's a way to keep me talking. You know, just watching a stream of me playing a game. If I wanted to do that, then I would just turn off the microphone functionality and just play a game. And I know there's a market for that, you know. If there's a game that I'm like on the fence about getting, I'll check out streams of that game just to see what it's actually like. Which in that case, I don't really need someone giving commentary over the top of it, but, you know, if you can interact with somebody and ask them about the game, it helps a lot. But I typically just go on stream of consciousness. Because, I mean, that's how I made my YouTube videos, was I would just start the game, turn the microphone on, and just let everything fly. I feel like it'd be more weird if I was doing this and I just got silent. And just kind of popped in every now and then with, you know, things to say about the game. Especially with streaming, I feel like streaming is... It is much more important to have a stream of consciousness. Or, you know, commentary going the whole time. Alright. That should be it. Yeah, huge fan base. It's like a couple thousand people. That should be it for the Dirt series. We are done in Dirt. We ran on somebody else's team. We owned a team. Okay, so we have Martinsville and then Phoenix. I do believe. And I think I'm going to run this race. Yeah, I'm going to run this race and then I'll take a quick break before the season finale, because I kind of want to roll through season finale and get the new season set up. And once I get the new season all set up and rolled out, then I kind of want to run the Daytona races. I think I'm going to get a good enough contract for the Xfinity Series that I can compete for a win at Daytona. Truck Series is going to be difficult because I'm going to want... They make you buy one car at the very beginning, and it's only one. So I could either get a Speedway car and set up for, you know, probably the next 3 or 4 races after Daytona, or I get a super speedway car set up for Daytona and then kind of figure it out later, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing. Alright, well, get out of the way.
Okay, get back in there. Let's
First
go.
Martinsville race. I'm excited. Martinsville usually ends up being a pretty good dogfight. Martinsville, usually I don't pace very well. So when I don't pace very well, I kind of just have to bide my time and wait for the cars ahead of me to reach lap traffic. And then when they get stuck behind lap traffic, that's when I start picking them off. But I think, you know, I've had a good truck all season. I don't think I'm really going to have any trouble. I think I'm going to qualify up front. I'm going to be able to pick off some of the leaders, and I think I'm going to be able to make a gap. Martinsville is also very rhythmic, but the straightaways are very long, so it's difficult to find your initial braking point without this racing line to help you. Especially on this front straightaway, because there's no landmarks to help you on the front stretch. So turn 1 and 2 is kind of just a guessing game, but 3 and 4 back here has this nice bright red sticker right there. So when you hit the back half of that big red sticker, that's your braking point. And I have used that exact same red sticker. Somebody must have the sponsorship deal of the century, on that specific braking point sticker, because there has been a red sticker going into turn 3 and 4 at Martinsville in every single NASCAR game since like 2002. It is always a red sticker, and it is always right on the braking pad for turns 3 and 4. Now, some games have had stickers going along the front stretch as well. So there used to be braking points for 1 and 2. But it's kind of just a guessing game now. Martinsville also has the problem that both Richmond and Bristol have, where, you know, if you're fighting a loose condition, you're really not going to see it until here, when you're coming out of the corner. And there's really not an explanation for it, other than you're kind of rolling out of the baking. I think it's that there's kind of just a little hump right there when you roll out of the baking. Martinsville doesn't have a whole lot of banking, so it's not that you're putting a lot of lateral force into the tires. I think it's, you know, you're changing surfaces. Ooh. So there is a braking point technically on the inside wall for 1 and 2. But trying to run braking points based on the wall that you're not next to going into a corner is really hard, because that point is not going to be there all the time. Plus, you're going to see it differently since you're far away. So you may think that you're aiming to brake at the front of that big red sticker, but in reality, since you're looking at it at a different angle from what's right next to you, you might be braking, 5-10 feet beyond them. Okay, we've turned enough laps. Jesus. Car feels good. Doesn't break grip out of the corner, but it did a few times, so I don't think this is going to be a Bristol situation where I set it up too tight. I think this is, because it did try to break grip on me a couple of times out of the corner, so I think you'll know it's a very slow corner when it downshifts, since we're using an automatic transmission. It'll downshift whenever it wants. So that's really the goal when you go through those corners, is to keep the car from downshifting. But we're making good pace, so I think this will be another good race. It's not going to be a cruise because it's Martinsville.
All right, be smart out there. Going green. Be ready here. Green flag, green flag.
But I think it's a good thing I'm going to take a break after this race, because my feet are really upset from all the Martinsville pedal work. And I have no idea what my corner speed is. I could, look over and check my corner speed. But with Martinsville, I just feel like it's better to run on feeling. You run into the corner, you let the car roll until you feel like it picks up grip. There, I didn't brake enough, so the car pushed way outside. But I feel like you get woed up to right about where you think you need to be, let the truck roll, and then once you feel the car start to really grip the corner, that's when you roll back into the flow. I'm doing really bad at hitting my marks going into the lap. So I'm going to run hard, brake at the back of the sticker, angle into the corner. Okay, so that's where I'm going wrong. The angle of attack is bad. think I need to dive straight at the curb. So you brake at the back of the sticker, hit your angle of attack, blow it up to wherever you think so. Once you get out of the brake, let the car roll. Brakes, let it roll. Once you feel the car gripping the corner, jump back in the throttle. And through there, obviously the grip wasn't all there. So the truck started pushing outside, so I had to really feather the throttle. And it's better to feather the throttle and lose a little momentum going into the straightaway than to push through it and end up just tanking the wall. Because that's going to take so much more speed than fluttering the throttle. So go in, blow it up, let it roll, grip, go. Probably jumped on the throttle a little late there.
White flag, good driver.
One telling sign that you're picking up grip is that while you're turning, you're actually moving in towards the curb. That means you're a little bit late. You want to feel the car push, and then as soon as it gets to the point where it's turning along with the corner, that's when you jump back in the throttle. Because you're going to brake, and then once you let out of the brakes, the car should push towards the wall just a little bit. That's how you know you hit the right speed. It'll push towards the wall a little bit, and then the second stage of that is going to be, it's going to start running with the corner, and then if you don't jump back in the throttle by then, it's going to start pulling you back towards the inside of the corner. You want to jump back into the throttle in the second stage of that. If you want to be safe, you wait till it starts to transfer from the second stage to the third stage. That's how you save tires. That's how you get through corners nicely. That's how you learn to track, is you wait till it starts to pull into the inside lane. See, we circled back around to racing philosophy. I mean, nobody gives a shit, but we're back to racing philosophy at least. We're not talking about the gaming industry or Mario shoes. Do I have what it takes to win? Okay. You know, I've only swept the series because they gave me a 5-star truck from the beginning, so the question for that is going to be next year. Oh. Nice wants me around for next year. Sorry, guys, I got the capital. I'm going to be running my own team. Okay. I'm going to take a quick break, probably around 5 minutes. I'll be right back. We'll go take this championship. All right, I'm back. I always seem to run just a little bit long on those quote-unquote 5-minute breaks. So it looks like if I plan on getting into next season and running the Daytona races, I'm probably going to end up filling up the 3-hour schedule mark. Which is fine. I've been alerted that people will be showing up for more towards the end of the stream, which usually that's when people have bowed out. Usually like 10-15 minutes before the end, so. We are also inching ever so closer to a Saturday stream, finally. I keep talking about making these, having these makeup streams. We are getting oh so close. I just really hope that I don't get plagued by tech issues. I just really hope that it works out. It's going to be a whole new setup situation. There might be just like, hopefully it doesn't send out a notification every time I go live. Hopefully I have to update my info to send out a live notification, because if I try to figure it out, it's going to be, go live, turn it off, go live, turn it off. And if I'm sending, more than 2 or 3 go live notifications, then people are just going to turn them off. And that's really not helpful for my cause. So Phoenix is technically considered a short track, but it's one of those things where it's like Richmond. It's more like a mini intermediate track. That first corner at Phoenix is very unique. This corner right here is kind of like a banked New Hampshire, kind of like an old New Hampshire track. This next corner is kind of more of a Richmond style corner, which is why I'm bad at it and super slow all the time. And then this corner, you can choose to follow the racing line, but I always have enough grip that I just yank it down and I try to cut off the pit wall. And then I run straight back up at the wall here. You break into the corner just like New Hampshire, and you jump back on the throttle pretty quick. And this dark line right there, that dark groove line, you want to stay under it, because that's the groove line that if you follow it, it runs you straight into the wall. So it basically gives you a whole vector or trajectory that you can follow through that whole corner. It tells you where you need to be. And it's not just the racing line, because sometimes the racing line isn't exactly how you like to run. And a lot of times I end up screwing up the last part of that corner because I won't jump on the throttle early enough. You actually want to jump on the throttle way earlier in that second corner. There's not really a lot to talk about with this first corner, because you just cut the whole damn thing and you don't get in trouble for it. But this is really the first corner. And usually, right there, I kind of in and out of the throttle. That time I actually pushed towards the wall, which is what I wanted to do. This is the corner I tend to be slow at, but for some reason in the middle of that first corner, the New Hampshire corner, that seems to be when all the AI jumps on the brakes. Everybody kind of jumped, but here, when I jump back in the throttle, that seems to be where I run from the competition. See, it's a really fine line on that exit, because that time I was on the throttle pretty early, and I just cut off the whole end of that corner. instead of having enough speed where I had to run it out to the wall. So, but it seems I tend to be fast enough through that for this first corner that it never really matters whether, you know, I have a bad corner and I end up cutting off the apex at the end, or if I run it all the way out to the wall. I try to run it out all the way out to the wall regardless, just for speed. This corner is a lot like a Richmond corner. You break into it, and I always end up, when I feel like I'm gaining grip, I always gain I'm not in the throttle quick enough for the end of it, which is why I end up cutting off so much of the tri-oval there. I guess you call it tri-oval, like half a tri-oval. I end up cutting it off so much because I would have to turn right in order to drive off the corner and go towards the wall. And when I try to pull enough speed through the middle of the corner to run out towards the wall, I end up going clear up by the wall anyway. I end up running like an outside line all the way through the corner. So I just run the corner normal, and I just end up yanking left and just cutting off the entire picture. I've really just been running laps to explain the track because this is our first time at Phoenix. So we should be good on qualifying.
Let's go now.
You know, I've run laps where I follow the racing line and I stay on the normal racing surface, and I really found no big difference between that and really cutting the apron. For me, it's just keeping rhythm. It's a lot easier for me to run into this corner and do this corner normally, how I would think to, and then for rhythm purposes, just keep a little bit of left input into the steering wheel and cut this guy off. And that sets up my entire rhythm going into this corner. It's just the rhythm that I'm used to. And luckily, the aprons all the way around Phoenix have a nice amount of grip. That's the problem with running the apron, is that the AI really wants you to be on the racing surface, so they try to wreck you after you hit the finish line. But there's a lot of grip down on the apron in Phoenix. You could run clear basically in the pit lane, and there's still grip a whole car length down below that yellow line. I could technically run clear down here and still pick up grip. I never get that braking zone right, that turn through. The other thing is that the AI don't cut off that corner. I don't think any series, any of the AI cut that corner. But if you watch an actual race at Phoenix, they're cutting that corner. Just keep a little bit of left input, and I'm still gaining speed. So it's not like I'm really pushing the car to cut off that tri-oval. This is where the old start finish used to be, right there. But Phoenix is such a new track for me in the NASCAR series that, you know, I watched it with both layouts. When they moved it, it was just kind of like, okay.
White flag, next time by.
See, you're not you have so little momentum coming out of that corner that it really doesn't matter whether you keep the input in the steering wheel or if you straighten it out and you run it towards the wall. If I straighten it out based on the line that I run, then I'm probably going to run, mid-track. So it's really not a whole lot of input to get me pointed towards basically the end of the pit wall. Didn't chew up a lot of tire. Kept a nice healthy gap to the rest of the field. And that's what happens when you try to carry more speed through the middle.
You earned that checker.
.96. Should not, with that speed rating, should not have had that much of a gap, but once again, we'll take it. We ran fastest lap, so. Yeah, I'm guessing it'll take probably about a half an hour to get everything set up for next season and run the Daytona races. I at least want to run Daytona, because that's going to be reset heavy. That's going to be a whole bunch of trophies. Taking the Truck Series Championship. It's always people that are already my friend who are giving me congratulations. Give me some other people so I can make more friends. Yeah, we're about to get like 3 or 4 more trophies. So we want to still participate in the Truck Series, but we are skipping the Dirt Tour. We're going to join a team. Okay. So this should be an easy pick. We have Penske, Colleague, and JR Motorsports. If we join Colleague Racing, we will be our own car. If we join JR Motorsports, we're going to take the position of someone else. I think I know who I want it to be. It's either going to be Michael Annett or Justin Allgaier. Because I still need to make amends with Hemrick and Gregson. I could just join Colleague and make it easy. That way everybody is still in the series and I still get to make friends with everyone. But it's JR Motorsports, man. I'm gonna drive my own car. I don't know whose spot I want to take, whether it's Michael Annett or Justin Allgaier. I think I'm going to take Annett's spot, because he's already buddies with me. And I think that determines... Nope, that does not determine my sponsorship. So, I think my sponsorship is determined by... what... manufacturer I drive for. I still got to edit those stripes. I just wanted to change all of the colors so I know which stripe was which. It looks like they fixed the stickiness on the customizer, so that's nice. So let's see, because I like this style. Let's see what happens if I flip the red and the white. I feel like that's too much red and not enough white. I do like this scheme, but I feel like there's too much white. There would absolutely be too much if I made it this stripe color. Well, let's try it. Never know until you try. See, now when I do that, I feel like I need to switch this to red. And then run this as a gray, which you're barely going to see. I kind of like that too, because that gives me kind of an Austin Dillon look. I think I'm going to run that, because it's different. It's a lot more white. Cool, I like that. We're doing something a little bit different. Alright. Now we get to start our own truck series. Of course we're driving for Chevy. And we got enough money. I think we're going to start with a super speedway. Everybody costs the same. We are, of course, going to start off with an engine specialist, because we need that for Daytona. They'll give us free upgrade up to 5. And we get a free week of engine work. And I think I want to change that gray stripe to a white stripe. Yeah. Oh, that's a lot. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to run it white. Or do I run it gray? I don't know. I think I'll keep it gray for the truck series. Okay. Now we have a bunch of upgrades to do for the truck series. I think that's going to be our first race. And now we're on the hot seat for the Cup Series. That'll be fun. 2 top 20s, no problem. Okay, so we want to upgrade departments, but we also want to hire employees. There we go. Aero and power are going to be what is important. Damn it. And then we need a speedway car. We're going to need multiple speedway cars. They're not super expensive yet. Employees are where things... Employees and departments. 85 seems to be an easy place to get to for now. Suspension. We also have enough to max out our team. So we are going to go ahead and do that now. Especially since everybody's at that 120 range for the initial cost. I think that's the best way to go for that. We will max out engine. Let's see. We can technically get everybody to 90. I think that's what I'm going to do, because I have 2 speedway cars that go back to back. So we should be prepared for that. And then we can use whatever profits we make from this week to make sure we get to 95, because next week we will be running 94 trucks with this team. How much is my next car? 147. I say I hold off on that one just so that I have enough money that when I buy that car, I can instantly buy new employees and have them trained. This is still going to be tough though, because we're driving like an 85 rated car, if that, maybe like an 83. But that is a very, very good start financially. I think financially we have everything that we want, especially since we have another week to get every department upgraded to 95. We were able to buy all the cars that we needed and all the employees that we needed and max them out. And we were able to upgrade our facilities. So that is very, very, very good. I'm going to check the dashboard while we're loading. Okay, you're still up to date. Yeah, I'm going to need to get all the speed that I can, so I put some grill tape on it just to get a little bit extra out of it. I know that in the real world that helps a bunch for aero, but this is a video game.
Alright, now dig.
I loosen the car up a bunch because, handling is somewhat important at these super speedways, just so you can change lanes. But unlike the real world, you can really loosen up the car and still be able to drive. Still have good drive. In reality, the super speedways are very trade-off. You either have a ton of speed and you can't handle for shit, or you have decent handling but you have to give up speed for it. That seems to be the MO of setting up the actual NASCARs at these super speedways. The handling takes away your speed. But this is a video game. So I think the handling comes with the speed. We'll run another lap up here by the wall. Probably move it down the lane just to be safe. Let's run an interior view just because. We're running way out by the wall, so it is eerily quiet on the interior view. There's not a whole lot going on here, so might as well move back. Okay, well, let's rip off the lap. We're a little over a second and a half off pace. And I think we are at the maximum oil temperature we can run without overheating. So I'm going to leave the grill tape at 40. I'm not going to push it. But I think I am going to loosen the car up a bit. Now if that entails going to the dreaded 1.1 on the sway bar, then no. Which I think is the actual next notch, because I think it goes 1.3 to 1.1. And I do not want to run the 1.1 sway bar. So it looks like we're going to be about a second off of pace. Which, yeah, it looks like, yeah, the next bit would be the 1.1. So I would have to do something somewhere else, whether it's tire pressures. I believe a lot of the speed comes from the spring settings. The springs and the shocks are set up very what's the word? Nicely, I guess. They're set up very safe.
Time to go now.
And normally these qualifying sessions, I just take the first lap and I deal with it. But I think even if I pick up just like one position on that second lap, then I think it's worth it. Hey, I'm actually going to run this race and one other race, so I should be here for, I mean, at least 15-20 minutes more, so if you feel like hanging out, that's awesome. If you got other stuff to do, then I get it. But I should be here for a little bit longer. Awesome, cool. Well, it's good to have you here. Thanks for the follow, by the way. I didn't catch it when it happened because I'm bad with the notifications, so I appreciate it. Now we should be able to run the quicker line for this lap. I don't know why I hover my foot over the brake pedal. It's not necessary. Just hoping that we can pull off a lap that doesn't put us in last place. I am glad I loosened up the sway bar though.
Alright, that's it.
Yeah, I think we just ran 2 laps just to be in last place. Cool. Lots of work to do. It looks like 2 more cars went to the back, so we're not going to be in the worst spot, but we are on the outside. That's going to be a problem.
Hammer down. Inside.
Especially with some of these guys kind of running out of the draft. Hopefully the inside line doesn't get bunched up again. I think it's going to because that pink truck up there is trying to slide in. It did.
Inside.
Yeah, we're going to be stuck in the middle of the sandwich here. Or the 68 can just come down and ruin everything. Luckily we have a pusher. Pusher helps a ton. Really was the only thing keeping me competitive right now. The cars from pushing behind. Oh, that was tough. Yeah, I pushed that guy out of line. We just took out everyone from 25th on top. So I'm gonna have to deal with the repercussions after that. So if this doesn't end up being a reset, there's going to be a lot of upset drivers. Not good. Okay, we held on. But unfortunately, it looks like the 44 has locked onto us from in front.
Hold that line, driver.
So yeah, they were not going to be keen on passing. So I had to make that really harsh move. Luckily, double yellow line is not in play for a video game. So we can break the rules all we want.
Hold that line, driver.
That's going to hurt a lot. We didn't wreck. That might be a reset though. Yeah, that's a reset. We lost all our momentum. That would take multiple laps to get back. Oh, I mean, we made a lot of good moves, so I think I might have a truck that can take at least a top 10. So now that's what I'm going to expect. And that's unfortunate. Oh, this guy jumped out to the outside. Why would you do that? Why would I do that? What was the point of dooring that guy? There's no point in doing that. Don't pull out of line, please. You gotta keep a draft train out here. A draft of 2 trucks does not work. We are trying to fit 4 trucks into this corner. Somehow we got out. Somebody must have backed it. We do have a pusher again, so that's good. The 15 moving up. Can't let him do that. We're going to try and motor around the outside. Alright, that white truck picked us up. No, this is not good. We were not able to complete the pass.
Got a car low now.
Kind of just stalled out for the corner.
Got one down low now.
Got another pusher though. Luckily they relinquished that outside line.
Stay high, stay high.
I think we're going to stall out in this corner again.
Careful, go there.
This white truck keeps pulling up to pick us up, and I really appreciate it. This is not good. We're squeezed. There we go. The 23 did not want to give up. That really squeezed us. Luckily, we all survived it, but I feel like the 23 truck is not going to be happy with me cutting his nose off. So we're back to the inside. Inside lane is a nice place to be. Get to the edge of the 40? Yeah, we can. Alright, we're back up behind Decker. Decker made some big moves. Decker tried to latch on to us again from the front, so I pulled out a line for that. Ooh, that was big. Todd Gilliland moved up with us. I lost a lot of momentum trying to push him. The 99 truck's making it 3 wide. So we might be stuck here. This is why the inside line is the best, because then we can kind of duck down to the apron.
Hold that line, driver.
The truck inside didn't want to move out of the way.
Got one down low now.
See, this gives me a lot of confidence now. I think that if I don't get stalled out
Stay on the bottom.
in a few spots there, I think we can win this race. I think I can take that race if I don't get stalled out in a couple of those spots. So now that I know that I have a winning truck, this might be a reset for me.
Got a car coming inside now.
And we have another plate race right after this. So we may get all the content we need for today. Man, this outside line is just poor. Right up until now.
Say hi, say hi.
Alright, we gotta push it. I think I'm gonna have to cut a nose off.
Outside, outside.
Yep.
Car outside. Clear out, bud.
We have carried a little too much steam into that corner.
Careful, still there.
Well, that was a bad time to pull down in the front, but we made it stick. Yeah, they pushed us out of the way of the draft. Trying to get down under the 26 there. They moved up for us anyways. That worked out.
Careful, still there.
I'm trying to stay glued down to this bottom one. Because when I'm down here, I have the freedom to pull out underneath other people. When I'm stuck up there on the outside or in the middle, or when the 87 doesn't want to move up the track, that was a poor move.
Car outside.
I don't care if he's upset with me after the race for that. That was just stupid. I have so much momentum right now.
Still there.
I probably could have hopscotched 3 or 4 trucks if he wouldn't have pulled that shit.
Stay at the bottom.
The 52's latched on us now.
Stay at the bottom.
We at least got to his corner, so he's going to have to move up. See, the 52 did it right.
Still there.
When I got to his corner, he moved up the track. Okay, we got to push it. I would have been a little bit scared of this last lap if we didn't have a pusher. Through the tri-oval.
Careful.
Rhodes knocked us. Probably could have gotten to his corner if he wasn't blocking. They're already 3 wide. I would have pushed it underneath Rhodes. But he would have just tried to cut me off since it's 3 wide.
Careful, still there.
He's still trying to cut me off.
Stay low. Stay low, stay low. Careful.
Okay. So,
Still there.
I think now I know that top 10 is more realistic. I was just really disappointed with that last little drive that I had. I feel like I could have picked up a draft somewhere. Pulled a couple more positions. Because I was really falling back headed towards the tri-oval, so I wouldn't have gotten top 10. But I don't think we have enough truck to win this. So I think the more realistic option
Hold your line, got one inside. You're all clear on the bottom end.
is
All right, you're clear.
shoot for a top 10.
Still there inside. You're clear all around there.
Not if we're running like this. This is poor. This is very bad.
Hold that line, driver. All right, clear low.
I think we still end up in the same spot though after that big pull around the corner.
Careful, still there.
I tried to give Nemechek a big enough shot that he would go up the racetrack. I keep bouncing off of the apron, and that's really killing all of my speed. There's no way I'd even be able to get a top 10 there.
Brother has the green flag in his hand. Are you ready here? Green, green, green.
I'm not a big fan of resetting this many times, but They put the button there and I did. You're going to go around him or not, dude?
Careful, still there.
Killing the draft.
Still there.
Yeah, now there's no draft. Thanks, Tanner.
Careful, still there.
Good thing the inside line stalled out so bad through there.
Stay on the bottom here. Hold that line, driver.
Truck floated really bad through the middle of that corner.
Still there.
I really hate that when you bump draft, you can't get the whole line to go forward.
Still there.
Really all it does when you bump draft is it upsets the truck in front of you and pushes them out of your line.
Careful, still there.
So you can go around them.
All right, you're clear there. Careful, still there.
No, they all pulled up. Now I lost the draft.
Stay on the bottom here.
Created a major
All right,
split
you're clear.
in the
You're
field.
all clear up top there.
But luckily, that's going to give me a huge run
Stay on the bottom
over
here.
the tri-oval.
All right now.
I don't even want to mess with 87 this time.
Hold your line there. Hold your line
You
there.
know, I think I'm in a full white sandwich. I think
Car outside. Hold your line.
the truck on the outside, yeah,
3 wide.
they're definitely trying to fit 4 trucks in a tight space. But I'm just bouncing off of the cars next to me. Go forward.
Road clear.
Yep, there goes the 87.
Got a car high now.
He deserved it.
All right, you're clear.
All right, we are in a very favorable position. We are top 10 with an extra lap to go. And I jumped to 38 too. Hell yeah.
Let's go. White
We're in a
line.
very good spot.
Careful. Still there.
I think we're at least guaranteed the top 10, if not the top 5. I don't think it's necessary to really steal a win here
Stay on the
because
bottom.
we're understaffed.
Still there.
This is real ballsy pulling out underneath him. Okay,
Outside.
picked up draft. Don't come down on top of me. There we go.
Careful. Still there. You're all clear up top there.
Oh, he stopped.
That's a fantastic result, driver.
We had a shot at something better if he wouldn't have stopped in front of us, but I think we take a podium and we go home. We got a lot of funds for the team. And we have a better car for the next race. All right, we got the best driving bonus, so I'm definitely going to check driver relations after that one. 3 wins in 5 races. That might be tough, but we're going to try. So, same guys don't like us in the Xfinity Series. But it looks like we didn't upset anybody too crazy in the Truck Series. I think the 87 was already favorable with us, so any way that I upset him it wasn't enough for him to cause us any problems in the future. Yeah, it's definitely different. Even these big super speedway races are different from most of the other races in this anyway, so. But I've always wanted to do a NASCAR series, so I figured I'd run through this one pretty quick. It's something a little different from Gran Turismo. So it's something different to look at least. And I think after I run through this series, which shouldn't take me too long if I do it twice a week, after I run through this series, I'll move on to the F1 games, and those games are a little more fun to see than this one even. Closer to the pace we need to be at with this car. Much closer to pace with this series. And one more lap, kind of see where we stack up. I think we might at least be able to start top 20 instead of one row from the back. Yeah, we're making good pace, but honestly, hopefully the goal is set towards... Never mind.
Let's go now.
Okay, so we're about 7/10 off the pace. It's not a second and a half like it was on the last race, but competition in this series should be a lot closer, so we might be just as bad starting position. I guess we'll find out. Should put a little more fuel tank in here. Check and make sure where the oil tanks kind of even out at. looks like oil temps are already fairly high. I think running drill tape is just going to get us to an overheat, especially when we start running in draft where we don't get a lot of air to the radiator. I think we'll stick with the current drill tape setup. We should be up to speed after this lap. Really good after. We kind of have a little bit of a benchmark as to where we'll be at.
Okay,
That was a full second off. So I think if we want to run a really good lap, we'll still be 7/10 off of the lead. Which that really hurt. Taking a piece out of that apron. Yeah, we're barely touching 190 going into the next turn. We are certainly off of pace. We should be well into the 190s going into 3 and 4 if we want to stay on pace. Yeah, we were still 9/10 off. I mean, we're not in the all the way in the back, but we are still not in a great spot. So this is just going to be as much of a fight as it was in the last truck series. I'm going by this guy puts me out of draft right now. Really need to have draft right now. Luckily, this inside line is probably going to stall out. It's almost guaranteed that that inside line stalls out coming out of this corner.
Down the bottom here.
Ooh, they kept the momentum. That's awesome. That's huge because that gets us clear up to here
Got one peeking outside.
before we have to start searching for another draft.
Careful, still there.
Oh, he's latched onto our front, so he's going to want to stay in front of us. Okay. We got him.
Still there.
Took away a lot of momentum. I couldn't get the 89 to move, but he got the whole line to go.
You're all clear up top there.
Kind of made a bit of a harsh move to the inside.
Careful, still there.
That 8 car and the 9 car are the 2 cars that are probably the most upset with me.
All right, you're clear there. You're all clear up top.
Got into the back of me. So luckily that was all he did. 61 was going to check up hard.
Careful, still there.
5 is going to pull down in front of us. Luckily, we can kind of affect where the cars go in this one, in this series. In the trucks, they really didn't want to go anywhere.
All right, you're clear there.
No, so we didn't take the 1 car's place on JR. It looks like the 5 car is still in the series. The 1 car. Okay, new problem. Nope, I just took the 1 out, so that's good. Not really. That's really bad. So new problem is we have a gap to get to those front 3 cars.
Stay low, stay low.
And they are running the top side.
All right, you're clear there.
Okay.
You're all clear up top there. Inside.
So unless I'm picking up a draft here, okay, we have draft, so we can catch them. One guy pulled out. I think it's the 7. I know you're my teammate, bud, but I'm not going to come out there and get you. But I'm about to freight train everybody.
Careful, still there. Clear low, bud.
Set for the 19.
White flag is in the air.
Got a motor to the 19. And just hope that I clear him.
Careful, still there.
Can't break the draft.
Careful, still there. Hold your line, got one outside.
It's going to be not great. Unless the 7 can get up behind me and push, it's going to be bad.
Careful, still there.
Okay, he's latched on behind me. I don't think he's sticking with me though.
Stay low.
This is good, but I might have to cut off the 19 going into the tri-oval.
Car high, careful.
Nope. Damn.
Coming to the green, driver. Almost ready.
I was up at the front with a whole extra lap. But because there was so many cars disjointed from the field, and the 7 couldn't get behind me and push. I don't know what his problem was. But I'm actually halfway glad for the reset because I took out the 1 car. And that is not a driver that I want to be upset with. Okay, so the 4 cars just going to try and do us like that.
Still there.
Looks like we're actually going to be around the same place as we were. Oh, we got a pusher. Wow. We gained a lot of spots going into that corner. Luckily kept out of it. But this is also the 8 car in front of me. He's not okay with me. Okay, he didn't turn down on top of us this time. Trying to get inside. Nope. Didn't get to the corner of the 47.
You're all clear up top. You got room. You're clear. Careful. Still there.
I think I'm picking up a little bit of a draft from the Ford up there. But it's not a whole lot. We're going to get pushed.
Still there. Got a car coming inside now. Clear down low.
Luckily the 44 had somewhere to go forward.
Got one peeking outside.
Oh, damn it.
Car outside.
Okay, cool. Just push me off the racetrack. Why don't you? Cool.
Bubba has the green flag in his hand. Are you ready here? Green flag.
That's another unfortunate thing about this game is that the AI is programmed to be in one place and one place only. And if you try to push them off of that place, things you will lose. They do not try to avoid other cars, they just stand their ground.
Got one peeking outside. Car there on the outside. Still there. Got one peeking outside.
Yeah, we are way behind our normal positioning.
Careful, still there.
But nope. Run came too early.
Careful, still there.
Now 20 cars in the slow down.
Careful, still there.
I would be totally okay with being a pusher, but the AI in this game, if anybody gets close to them that is another AI driver, they do not go forward. They slam on the brakes.
Careful.
And that killed every piece of my money.
Alright, now, be smart out there. Going for it. Are you ready? Ready. Green's out, let's go.
This is why I wanted to get these super speedway races done today. Because they're super reset heavy and they're super frustrating.
Stay low, stay low. Car on the outside now.
It's a whole lot of luck.
Careful, still there. Car
And
outside.
I obviously have the best car. I'm coming from, what, 30-something to compete with the front runners? but you just catch somebody at the wrong time, or like I just did, you get slowed down by another car at the wrong point and you just go backwards. I think I got to start incorporating these upper lines. I think that's going to help me get around a lot of cars. I think that might also cause a lot of free wide situations to get us stalled out. We'll see. So I'm just driving with my elbows out now.
You got room. You're clear.
Get out of my way. You cut me off earlier.
You're all clear up top.
Nope.
Hold it.
Yep, he was not okay with the move that I made.
Got one inside. We're going green.
Oh.
Are you ready? The green flag is in the air.
And the only reason I'm resetting so much instead of, taking a second place is because I know I can take a trophy.
Careful. Still there.
And there's an achievement for winning at every track. So both lines stalled out real bad. Somehow I was able to squeeze the middle a lot. I took a couple of out, but I'm not going to be okay with that. At this point, it's kind of just as long as I don't wreck important drivers, like people that could cause me problems later on, then we just kind of deal with it.
Careful, still there. Still there.
Okay, this guy's willing to push.
Stay low, stay low.
Come back down here, pick me up.
Still there.
Still picking up just enough crap to make this competitive.
Careful, still there.
Oh, race
Clear
track.
high, clear high. Still there. Hold your line, driver. Bottom clear.
Wow, luckily there was a third line down here.
Careful, still there.
We've got a lot of momentum.
Still there.
I think, okay, this is going to stall our momentum out a little bit, which is good. Things are getting a little wacky there.
Still there.
Okay, we prevented the 21 from coming down on top of us. We're in a good spot. We're back to the spot that we were in, but the field's a little more put together this time.
Careful, still
Yeah,
there.
we're 3 wide out front, so.
Two laps left, stay calm.
But once again, I got the 7 pushing me, and he cannot get up behind me. So I think new plan
Still there. Clear high, clear high.
is to push one car way out in front like this.
Outside.
And then I'm going to have another car. I got to split him from his teammate,
Got a car high now.
because he's going to want to step in front of his teammate, and they're going to want to hook up.
All right. Clear
So I
outside.
think push him way out here.
Car there on the outside.
Did not plan on getting into him. Okay, push him off of line from his teammate. So if he wants to hook up with his teammate, they're going to have to slow down for one another. Okay. We kind of bullied our way up here, but now we're good.
White flag is in the
But
air.
the new problem is we're up here with a lap to go. And we have 2 cars behind us. So I have to make this car 2 cars wide. Just cut off wherever the run comes from. So I am driving almost completely in my mirror right now. I'm just glancing down at the road to see where I'm at. And they backed up. This is not good. I am hung to dry. So they are going to back up, get a bunch of momentum, and then start to attack, especially coming off of this corner. If they don't get a big push off of this corner, I got them. Yep, they fell back. We're good.
Good driver.
Oh.
Way to earn that checker flag.
Kind of had to drive like a dick to get there, but that's a lot of money for the team. So I should be able to, I might actually be able to become competitive in the truck series now that I have those team funds. So I think I'm going to get to the next truck race. Hopefully that's the next race in the series. And then do a little team management. But if it's another Xfinity race, then I think I might have to cut it. But I am curious as to what drivers hate me now. Because I did drive with my elbows out. Okay, we got a truck series race, so we can work on the team. So it looks like we actually improved with a lot of people. Except for the 9 car. I feel like the 9 car is going to take a lot of work. Okay, so let's see. We're at a speedway. Okay, we hit the department max, so we need to upgrade those. And that takes a lot of our funds. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to afford a short track car. We should. It's actually good that we're able to plan this far ahead. And now I need to get teammates, and I think I can only afford a couple of them. I think the 120s are probably my best bet. I'm still not going to have a full team, so let's get an engine, and I think suspension specialist is going to do us the best right now. Because that's going to do better on handling on the speedways. So we can get a little bit of a head start there. But I think by the time we get to that short track race, so we'll go with this for now. So we're going to be running 94 rated trucks all the way up for the next 4 races, it looks like. Because I'll just flip-flop those 2 teams of employees back and forth, and we'll get 94 trucks. So that'll make us competitive. We should be able to take wins at that point. And then by the time we get to Texas, hopefully I've built up a little more capital. And I can get that Aero employee plus probably a road course car. I'm not sure if buying a road course or a short track car is going to help, because there might be 2 short tracks in a row. Or if I'm remembering right, there's 2 road courses in a row. I'm not sure. I think the safe bet's going to be pulling in a road course car and then kind of making a call on the fly depending on what the schedule tells me. Okay. So we checked everything off. Pull in the 94 car and we are set up. Okay. think that's going to do it for today. So it looks like we're set up for tomorrow. We'll see what goes down tomorrow. I might use tomorrow to kind of work through some of these kind of in-between races. Or I might do it, off screen and then start the stream up kind of when I'm later in the season. We'll see. I guess that kind of just depends on what I can handle physically. But, yeah. Good night. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Thanks for the heads up, letting me know that you were wanting to show up. I appreciate it a ton. Anybody who showed up, even if you didn't participate in chat, thanks for just showing up. And, as long as I see that viewer counter move, then it helps a ton. That doesn't mean that, if you show up to one stream, you got to show up to all of them. I understand, life kind of takes precedent, other than instead of watching some guy talk about nothing while he plays video games. So I appreciate it. Yeah. Now I got to get me some good sleep so I can get up early in the morning and try to buy me some Mario Pumas before everybody else gets a hold of them. So, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. Everybody who kind of popped in, popped back out. And we'll see you tomorrow, I guess. Same time.